Hey everybody, Countdown VHS here, and welcome back to another episode of our 4th Age Total War Elven Realm campaign, where last time we had a significant setback with the death of our king. Thranduil, the Elven king himself, finally met his end, just across the river, just south of the Karok, I guess, at the hands of a very large, very angry army of Bjornings. And so the war with the Bjornings has just started and is not going too well. So I've come to a couple of conclusions for this episode. I've got a couple of goals. We'll see how it works out. First of all, I've got an army up here that I've been moving from the Elven King's Halls, and I've moved them back because we're going to train every single unit we can out of Emin-Duir, and that is really just one more unit. We've got the population here is already down to 420, so we can't get anything else out of here except for a few more agents. But I figured I would like another unit of the line, more of these threshold troops. And that is because the Bjornings, as we have seen, tend to field a decent amount of cavalry, surprisingly. These woodman riders are pretty good. They do not have spears, so they don't have an excellent charge. But they've got a pretty decent charge, as it turns out, enough to do some damage. And there's kind of a lot of them in this particular army, along with dogs. And so I thought this army looks a little weak, a little archer heavy, so we'll get another unit of threshold spears, then we'll move them back here. I've also decided that we're going to move this army into the north just as soon as we get our scout up here to sort of trace the route. I'm thinking that although we lost that last battle, that was a little bit of hubris. And I'm thinking that I might be able to manage future situations if I'm slightly more careful. If I'm a little more careful in how I approach the Bjornings, I think we'll do okay in the future. So I think I am going to risk it. We're going to take our heir, who is the Naldo unit, or the Naldor family member, rather. He's commanding a unit of Elven retainers, just like everybody else. But he is a Naldo, and we're going to get him over the mountains, over the Misty Mountains, to Ostinethel. But in order to do that, we need to break into the High Pass stronghold. And I think I'm going to take my chance attempting that right now. I've got a spy up here, so now I can finally see what kind of units we're looking at. So the army I would be attacking is standing right outside. This is a unit of Orc Raiders. No big deal, very, very weak unit. Shouldn't be any trouble. Backing them up, most likely, I believe these guys are one tile away from each other, is this. So a couple of units of Orc Champions. Better stats, Warcry, good against armor. And in the stronghold itself, we've got the army that, of course, I'm more worried about. Now, this army does have some trolls, as you can see, but there's only 4 of them. And there are some wargs, but it looks like this army has taken some losses. And I'm thinking that they did end up fighting the Bjornings briefly, winning, but still taking a few losses. So I think I'm going to try my luck. We're going to give this a shot right now. I'm going to hit this army, and we'll see how they respond. Okay, so they're all going to show up as reinforcements. We'll just see what this looks like. Well, as you can see, the terrain here is not great. We've got mountains on either side of it. The main army is coming from over to the left. The other 2 armies reinforcing are coming from straight ahead. So I'm going to try to grab this high ground, and then we'll see if we get any advantage on those orcs and trolls who are going to be moving in from our left. All right, we've gotten about up to our position here, and so far the main army's holding back, which is quite nice. And so I think we've got plenty of scope to go ahead and take out these trolls. Let's get the Naldor swords involved. They haven't really done any fighting yet. We'll just send them right after these orc raiders. There are some champions, but we'll be able to shoot them down pretty easily. And our Naldor are going to be keeping these guys frightened, so it should be a pretty good matchup. For the champions, I think I'll just charge my cav in. I do want to hold back some cav for the trolls. That's kind of the way I want to plan for them. Pretty effective charge, though, so far. We are taking some losses. They're wavering. Let's keep the Naldor going there. That unit is now routing. Excellent. And let's see. Are the trolls within firing range? They will be soon. So let's get our archers all out ahead. There goes one of the captains. Very nice. I'm thinking hopefully it'll be enough. Okay, we've got these guys down to 2. Excellent. If we can clear them off the field before the rest of the army approaches, we'll be, I think, in a fantastic position. With that, The trolls are down. That's all of them. So we've only got now to deal with wargs. I say only. Wargs are a bit of a problem. Let's get a closer look at these guys. So the captain unit here, this is just a little unit of puppies. No, okay, we've got the captain riding one of them. Very nice. And then we've got some warg archers here with goblins with bows. And then I think we've also just got some regular wargs here with essentially orc raiders on top of them with swords. So those units are actually going to be a bit of a problem for us. They are going to be good against cav. They're going to be good at just running down everything. And so we're going to want to be kind of ready for that. I guess I'll get my Noldor in a shield wall, me as well. No one else has anything special. Keep the archers back here. But yeah, actually, wargs are pretty vulnerable, as it turns out, to archer fire. Well, this could all go wonderfully. Alright, but we do have some others coming up over here on both flanks, so they could catch... There goes the captain, nice. Could catch our archers. That's a loss I am willing to take, but of course it'd be nice if we could take them out. Get our cav kind of in place, and let's get our spearmen down, actually. Alright, so they're pursuing. We'll intercept then with our general. Hopefully this charge will do some damage to them. Yeah, they're routing already. Very nice. Alright, get the cav back. The archers are continuing forward, but I don't think they have too many archers apart from these guys. They may have some down here, but yeah, they're Snaga hunters. They've got a unit of orc hunters. The rest looks pretty light. They do have some orc band units, which are, you know, your basic spears. They also have some orc blades, which is somewhat of a rare orcish unit. This is a Warcry capable unit. But yeah, they're not retreating yet. They're just reforming, which is very nice. So let's get our infantry like here, and we'll kind of wait now. If they're going to keep coming, then geez, I'm ready for that. All right, perfect. Leading with the champions, so that means we'll be able to cut them down with arrows as they approach. They're tired already. We've got the hill. Our men are, well, utterly tired, these bowmen. They've been fighting the whole time. But our elves are fresh. And our cav is fresh as well. Alright, those orc champions are broken. Some orc blades. I think we could be able to rout this entire right wing with our cav. And then just clean up. So let's just get them a little bit closer. We'll countercharge with our infantry and our cav. Alright, so let's send the Noldor after the center, I guess. We'll go right after the orc hunters. Mariners can go after those Snaga hunters, the Lindon Guard, I guess, after that orc band. And then the general will go after the orc champions. Hopefully he'll do well there. And all this cav is ready to go right after the orc blades. If we need to, we can get our elven archers in on this. But yeah, this wing is going to fall. They're already wavering, the orc band, and they're routing. Our Noldor are just cutting into these orcs. And they're routing as well. General not doing quite so well over here, so let's get the elven cav over. Oh, no, I take that back. He's now routed his left wing. And pretty much everybody here is heading for the hills at this point. It looks like the warg archers have come back. Really not a problem. I'm sure we'll be able to get them on the run shortly. So we'll just chase down these routers and see you back on the campaign map. Wonderful. And with that, I believe, yeah, there's no garrison left in the High Pass stronghold, which means we can just march in and take it. That is wonderful news. Now I'm tempted to maybe continue this force down here, but no, we've got to wait. Now that we've cleared off the passage, we can safely, once we get a scout up here just to check for ambushes, we can move our general up into the north with his forces lend their support. So let's do this right. We'll capture the high pass stronghold. Now, the problem with this place is it's going to be very difficult to hold. As an orc settlement, it does have a rather high population, as you can tell here. We're going to be getting rid of 1,800 of them. So yeah, let's definitely lay desolate, but we won't be able to actually get the public order above 51%, even on low taxes. Okay, we'll get it to 60. But it's not going to be much better, if I recall. So we've got just a lot of unrest. We could potentially move our capital, and I may want to do that just because we obviously don't want to lose this. The only way to really make this not quite so terrible for us is to build fortified walls. But as you can see, 15 seasons and 31,800 Mirian. It is a big project. What this represents, essentially, is cleansing the nearby population of orcish recruitment options. So basically, if you were playing like a Dunabar, or Dunland, a faction which can actually train orcs out of these places, then this would actually remove that option, and you would instead be treating the fort like a fort. You'd be able to retrain local mercenaries, and you would also lose just those other features of this being essentially an orcish settlement. All right, so now that we've got this, we've got as much garrison as it makes sense to have in there. Let's see if we can do anything with public order with regards to our capital. Our capital currently is 3 ways, and we may be able to get away with moving it over to, like, Rivendell. So let's see. All right, we're losing 4,000 there. Public order is just at 70 there. However, Swanfleet, okay, Swanfleet's at 70 also. We can get away with that, it looks like. All these territories in the west look just perfectly happy with us. And of course, in our sort of homelands, we've got no problem at all. So then that's totally fine. Okay, no other forces except for this one. We could bypass it or take it on. Let's take it on. We'll knock it back. And no, this is an opportunity for us to destroy some Woodman Riders, so I think I want to take that chance. This is going to be a small fight, though, and it's just 2 units. I think I'm going to skip this one. All right, no trouble at all for Ortheldir here, and we'll continue moving him up just a little bit, try to keep him in an ambush stance. But as part of that victory, he did pick up a Northman Trader for +2 command versus Northman. Fantastic. I think I'll pass this along to this general. He's the one who I'm probably going to keep in the theater and leading these other Elven forces. Of course, Ortheldir is going to be heading over to Ostenedel himself, but not gonna lie, it feels good to get a victory and a nice ancillary after the drubbing we took in the last episode. And you know what? I'm looking at this and I can actually move this guy down here. So why don't we? Just to get both of these armies together. I know that leaves the High Pass Stronghold pretty vulnerable, but it's not likely to revolt this season at 70% happiness, and I just feel a lot better with all of these armies together. Now, looking at the diplomacy here, I can see that Dale is not at war with anybody else currently. In fact, they've got allies all around them. They're allied with the Dwarves, with Rune, with the North Rune, with Rovanian, with the Bjornings, and with the Dunabar. That's like every single faction that borders Dale, they are allied with. They are enemies with the rebels, and so that means that they may spend some time attacking places like Mount Gundabad, or the fort up here in the Grey Mountains, so they may get into that type of business. That may keep them busy for a little while, but I'm not really holding any illusions that they're going to be at peace with us forever, especially since their allies, the Bjornings, have started the war. And Dale has done pretty well for themselves. We've already seen that they've conquered south of the River Running here. They've gotten down into the East Bight, into northern Rovanian. They've taken Upper Dorwinian and even Lower Dorwinian, so they own all of this rich territory. They've moved into North Rune's lands, but they are now at peace with them, allied with them, in fact, and they're allied with Dorwinian exiles who are hanging around in the woods north of the Sea of Rune. All that means that Dale is just going to be a matter of time. Now, one thing that does sometimes happen, it happens pretty regularly, is that Dale and the Dwarves end up going to war, most likely because Erebor and Dale are very close to each other, and the AI factions just can't resist. So Dale may start getting some ideas and may attack the Dwarves. That would be fantastic. Keep them busy for a while, and I would be actually totally okay with that. But not sure exactly how this is going to develop, so I think at this point we'll just end our season. Here we are bringing our reinforcements. Okay, we're attacked at Fairfield, and we are going to be assaulted at Fairfield this same turn. Okay, balance of power bar looks even. We've got 2 stacks, but they're both half stacks. Oh my gosh, and there's trolls. Okay, so these are new trolls, though. We've seen the hill trolls. These are Olag High. So, wonderful. We'll have to see how this works out. And the other army, no trolls in this one. And to be honest, a lot of stuff that I'm not very concerned with. Javelins can be a bit of a pain, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, it's mostly this other army here. Now, there's not too many of these. There's 7 of them. But they've also got some high-tier swordsmen, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. Yeah, here they are. Olag High, very, very nice looking unit, and so far my game's not crashing, so that's fantastic. I love the bucklers, the spikes on everything. So yeah, these are going to be a bit of a problem. Now, this is also the general unit, so that's a little concerning too. It means that they may be likely to hold back before throwing themselves in. I'd love for them to run ahead of the whole army so we can deal with them first. And of course, because there's 2 armies, they're going to attack from 2 completely different directions. This is the lighter force, mostly things like these swords, these skirmishers from Rovanian, and a few archers and lesser orcs. The captain over here is just a unit of dark swords, so not too concerning, but the bigger problem is how we're going to cover pretty much everything, because we have to cover, well, we don't have any walls, so we have to cover all of these potential approaches. There's one right up here. There's another one which wraps around down here. That'll probably be the main way this army comes, but of course there is a third approach that some of these guys will no doubt attempt to take. So we've got our 4 family members here. I guess we can set them up. We're going to remember that these 3 can be put into shield wall formation, and so we'll set them right there, probably on guard mode. I think we'll want everyone on guard mode for a little while. We're just going to defend the plaza here. I'm not going to try anything fancy like trying to fight them out in the walls or at the borders. We're going to put all of our ranged guys in the back here. We'll move them to address any threats. We've got another unit of spears. We've got our 2 dedicated archer units, again off skirmish. We're going to put them back here. But really, these Galadrim warriors again are more of a melee unit in some ways. And then we've got the Rovanian Ranger Mercs. No one's skirmishing, everyone's firing at will. That's it, so let's see how it goes. Well, no real surprises. The main force of the lesser force is coming up over here. But I guess the one thing that is a little unusual is that the Olag High are marching quite ahead of the rest of their force. We're already firing at them, but probably a lot of the buildings are blocking us here. But we've got our 3 family members in shield wall, elven retainers, right out front. So hopefully they'll be able to stop those trolls. Well, in the front here, on the other side rather, we've got the elven retainers of our general, our king, Rumel of Lothlorien, and threshold troops. Hopefully they'll be able to hold all this off. But as the units get closer, we're going to be firing with our javelins. That should be doing some nice damage. And hopefully we'll start to actually cause some casualties with our bows as they get out of the reach of those buildings there. Let's see, the main force is not doing anything too surprising here. We've got some orc raiders trying to outflank. The other force here is coming pretty much as expected. I don't think anyone's coming around this way. No, everything's pretty straightforward. No losses on those Olag High just yet. And another nice touch I'm noticing is these flets in the distance. We've got these very nice touches of the fact that we've been here for a while as elven population. And so we are taking out some of those trolls. No casualties yet for our elven units. We're fighting valiantly here. Took out just 1 unit so far, but I imagine we're going to get smashed. There goes the general, actually. Trolls are routing. Wonderful. Okay, so I think we took a couple of losses here. Okay, they're coming back for some more. 3 of them left, but we got javelins. We're going to strip away some of those extra hit points. They're charging in. They're not doing too well. I'm shocked. We've taken like maybe 1 or 2 losses, and that's probably from the trolls just falling on our men. Great. Okay, so far no losses on our part in terms of family members, and I think we can hold out here. One of the things I mentioned in a previous episode that I'm concerned about with this type of battle is that there is the propensity for the AI, especially if they bring a lot of like heavy infantry, to just push your men completely out of the plaza, and then you lose on the timer, right? So they just push you out, and you know, 2 minutes goes by and they occupy, and there's nothing you can do in that scenario. All right, we are getting some losses due to arrow fire. Not a lot we can do about this, of course. Dark swords are moving in. Okay, I think I will risk getting off of guard mode here because I want at least my general to be doing some damage and pushing in to the enemy, especially here where we've got a lot of light troops. If we can clear this force out, we can get some guys wrapping around the back. And those trolls are tenacious. Still 2 of them left here. And I like how we're outside of the plaza here with the Elven retainers. Right, did they just charge and then think better of it immediately? Okay. Very good. We'll keep them tied up here. And yeah, see, we're getting pushed back slightly. But I think we're doing fine. Our Rovanian Ranger Mercs are going to get in the fight a little more than I would like. All right, let's take the Threshold troops off guard mode there. And I'm thinking these Galadrim warriors may be of better use in melee rather than getting shot to death by these orc hunters. That is a concern. I guess what I could do is take both of these archers out and around. Let's do that. Since they're melee units, there's only orc raiders down here. We can wrap them around the side. And I think the trolls are at last... No, not gone yet. They still haven't finished with us just yet. Well, we've got plenty of these Elven retainers still. They've done fantastic work. Check out the slaughter in front of them here. Wonderful stuff. But we are getting hit, unfortunately, with javelins and arrow fire. They're really focusing on those Galadrim warriors, which is probably right of them to do. Here come the dark swords. Yeah, let's you get off of guard mode, and we're going to push forward into the enemy here. So again, I think we're going to do well in the rest of these matchups. Okay, here we're going to charge. These are archer units, but they should be just fine against these low-tier orc raiders. Galadrim scouts are decent in melee. Galadrim warriors, quite good. And they've got no other reinforcements in the area, so... Biggest concern, I would say, is the ranged units that we just can't do anything with yet. Our Elven might be able to sneak by here without getting caught in melee. That would at least prevent them from throwing stuff at us. I think we would do well against those orc hunters. And I've got to say, those orc raiders are doing a lot better than I thought. We haven't taken any losses, but the fact that they're still fighting is a little surprising. Okay, let's get up back to those orc hunters. All right, and some of these units are routing already. But notice how we're being surrounded here. These are not even the toughest units. We've got dark swords coming, but also some swords of the shadow and orc champions. All right, now that we're around the back here, we're starting to get them afraid, and we've got the orcs here running. Okay. You know what? Let's bring these guys back. Now that the ranged threat, I think, is over, we've got so many units running here, I think we can use the archers back in the center. We are getting some casualties going with the other army. I think for real this time we've killed all of the trolls, I hope. All right, there's the captain of the other army. Great, I'll just let the Elven run them down, and then maybe they'll loop around to do some flanking. Meanwhile, we'll want the general over here. There are some dark bows in the distance there, getting a few shots off, but probably not having too much of an impact. Where are the swords of the shadow? I could have sworn there were some. They may be... okay, here's a unit very far away. And then just some orc hunters, or the very lowest tier, the Snaga hunters. Oh yeah, we're going to be just fine. Very good. A little concerned about that. Our first Olog High encounter, but we did well. And with that, we did lose about 100 men and elves in that fight. Probably mostly men, though, I'm thinking. We lost some of these Elven hunters to some of the ranged fire. I think we did pretty good holding on to our Galadrim units, and even our Threshold troops, I don't think, did too badly there. But that was quite good against some of the tougher units of Adunabar, but we're going to have to come to some sort of solution about that. What I have planned probably for the future is to take Mid-Deeping and gift it to some other faction, maybe Rovanian, and then we've got to do the same thing with the Wold, because we can have attacks coming from here as well. You know, given that this is not rebelling anytime soon, let's actually take out the Scout. We'll move him over into the Wold just to get a better view here, and yeah, oh my gosh, we've got big armies down around here. And it looks like the Rohan does still hold the East Emnet region. You can see that there's a settlement right here that this army is besieging. So Rohan is hard put to it at the moment. And it looks like they've got some decent units here and a mix of other Rovanian types as well. So no other trolls on the horizon, fortunately. But the fact that they have them means that they've been building up to the point where they can train them in Mordor. So any of these old forts and caverns around the mountains could be cranking out more trolls for us. So we need to lock down these borders somehow. But in the north, I can see the Bjornings have done some spying of their own. They've got a few agents in the area, actually. So they kind of know where we are, and that means we have to be pretty careful about this. Let's first consolidate what we're going to do with Ortheldir, our heir. So he's got that Northman trader unit. It's not going to do him any good over in Ostinethel. So let's gift this to this guy who also has a Dunedain trader, Ancillary. So wonderful. Now he is free to move off in this direction, and I don't think there's going to be any Bjorning units, but notice they've got spies right next to us. So they're definitely keeping an eye out. We're just moving through all these trees. Okay, Ortheldir can now get over the high pass and back down south. A few more seasons, we'll have him in Ostinethel and get that project working. At the same time, we can bring this guy over east, and I think we're going to just move the armies just outside the high pass stronghold, get some mercenaries, and get them together. Okay, and now we have a full stack here with a couple of generals, some other Elven units, 2 full units of Elven archers, Galadrim scouts, and Greenwood guards. We've got several units of Elven skirmishers. We've got some cavalry, some heavy Elven units, although they are much depleted, and of course our Noldor swords. So we're going to have to be careful with all these guys, but I think this is looking much more promising. I'll leave them right here for the moment on the slopes. The thing I'm remembering is that not only do we get bonuses in the woods, but the Bjorning units do too. Let's see, not the Bjorning units, but the Woodman units, I think. Yes, Woodman riders get a combat bonus in the woods. Woodman spears do, and granted their stats are lower, so this is not going to be, so impactful, but it will have some impact. Okay, so now that these units are sort of organized, I think I'm going to leave this army. I don't want to risk it just yet. I want to bring them down, attract the attention of the Bjornings, and we'll get these 2 armies together to the point where we can actually mix and match them, and then that should be good. So moving my scout through Rohan, I can see that Adunabar has certainly made some progress. They've captured Edoras, and it looks like they're holding on to it just fine. Now, maybe there will be some unrest if they move this army out. Not really sure. Let's see if we can see the unit makeup of this one. Yep, it's some pretty decent stuff. It's their basic infantry, tier 2 and 3, but they've also got some Shadow Riders and some Orcs. So I don't think Rohan is going to be a problem for anybody too much longer. That in turn means that Dunland is going to probably grow fairly large and could indeed be a problem for me. So even more reason not to touch Greyholm. Just let Tharbad have that and hope that Dunland doesn't go to war with them and start sharing a border with us. Looks like Adunabar is probably going to take Easthold in a little while, but at least for the moment they don't have any troops in my neck of the woods. But in the last season, nothing was really done. Status quo maintained in the region. I don't know, though. Do we want to attack this army, or do we want to just pass on by and compel them to fight us elsewhere? Well, let's see. I think we could have the advantage of archery. We've got 3 Mannish archer units and 3 Elven archer units, as well as some horse archers. We've got some javs. We've got some cav of our own. So if we play it right, we could do pretty well and eliminate a stack and then move on into Old Fort. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to see if they want to fight, and it looks like they don't. So we're going to pursue them. We're going to get right over here, and next season we're going to have this fight. The Balance of Power bar really likes that one, and I do too. So I hope you'll join me then when we clear out one of our major obstacles on the road to power in the Anduin Vales. See you next time.